The United States of America and the United Kingdom. The world's first and second largest English-speaking The world's first and fifth largest English-speaking nations, both meccas of culture, technology, and of course, delicious cuisine. But that leads us to the age-old question, which nation is better, America or the UK? Lucky for you, I've devised a foolproof system to answer just that. We'll be comparing both countries on a multitude of categories, such as culture, weather, food, economy, and many more. Leading us to our first category, food. This is probably the easiest category on here. Just look at these delectable American dishes. Texas ribeye, Chesapeake blue crab, Philly cheesesteaks. America simply just has some of the best, most scrumptious food around. America pretty much has any type of food you could ask for, so it's natural they'd be ranked highly. But there's one establishment in America that really sets it apart. Waffle House. If you've ever wanted to try the most delectable, scrumptious, taste bud tingling food on the face of the planet, you have to go to Waffle House. When I see that black and gold frame, I'm like a moth to a flame. Let me tell you a quick story about Waffle House. When I was in high school, my class took a one-week trip to Florida. Before the trip started though, every student in the class was given $200 to survive on for the entire week. That means a total of $200 for food, souvenirs, whatever. And since I didn't bring any more money with me, I knew if I spent all the $200, I'd be cooked. So around day 3 of the trip, we went to some amusement park and I probably had around $150. And while everyone else was spending like the good little consumers they were, I didn't buy anything. No food, no shirt, no nothing. For the entire 12 hours we were there, I did not eat anything. I didn't even have breakfast before either, so I was fasting like it was Ramadan. So fast forward to around 11 p.m. The class was heading back to the hotel, but a little bit before, our teachers decided to stop and get some Burger King. And while the rest of the class was heading to the BK, there I saw it. The black and golden sign of salvation, Waffle House. So me and 3 other friends of mine embarked on a pilgrimage to satiate our stomachs at the finest establishment in the Deep South. We got there, sat down, and when I tell you I feasted like Henry VIII, I mean it. 2 plates of hash browns, 3 sausages, a 4 stack of flapjacks, 5 slabs of country ham, and a big old bowl of grits. I can't tell you exactly what heaven's like, but I can give you a real good idea. Now, British food, on the other hand. Just look how scrum-diddly-delumptious these classic British delights are. You know, I love to start my day with a hefty platter of jellied eels, drink some snail water as a midday snack, and finish off my day with some savory pork blood pudding. A true British classic. Personally though, I don't think British food is actually all that bad. Maybe I'm biased, because believe it or not, I'm actually British myself. Dual citizenship, baby, I play both sides. Call me Benedict Arnold. Maybe I'm crazy, but when I see shepherd's pie, fish and chips, or an English breakfast on the menu, I'm ordering that John instantly. Zero hesitation. Overall though, I think I'll have to give this round to the United States just due to the sheer variety of food America has. Next category, government. Now, I could give my own opinions on what I think about each of their governments, but that would just ruin the fun for all the people who try to guess what my opinions are. So I'll just play it safe and give 0 points to both. Gotta keep you on your toes, can't ruin the mystery. Transportation. Boy oh boy, do I love sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic on my 26-lane super freeway during my 2.5-hour morning commute to Houston, Texas. Oh, what? You're telling me that traffic is a problem? Just add another lane. Wait, you're saying that caused congestion to increase by 25%? Just add another lane. Every problem with traffic can just be solved by just adding another lane. America will undergo any infrastructure project just as long as the vehicle using it doesn't have a conical pair of wheels connected by an axle and placed onto a cold steel track. Maybe whenever that California high-speed rail project gets completed in like 2100, America will start building some more high-speed passenger trains. Take a look at America's passenger rail and compare it to the big, beautiful British railroad system. Now, I know the British rail system has its issues, like with aging infrastructure and often costly fares. But from the perspective of someone in America, it's like 5,000 years ahead of whatever we have. You're telling me I can take a train from London to Manchester in 3 hours for only $59? Sign me up. And you can't forget about the iconic red double-decker buses in London. I do have to take off some points for the whole left-hand driving thing, but I'd say overall, the UK wins the point for this round. National anthem. Both America's and the United Kingdom's national anthems are some of the most iconic iconic in the world. Whenever I hear the Star-Spangled Banner being sung during a good old American football game with spicy buffalo wings in one hand and a 32-ounce cup of pure American cola in the other, I can't help but be filled with cold, hard American pride. But did you know that the USA's national anthem was actually based off another song? Specifically the song To Anacreon in Heaven, which is a British song written in 1775. That's right, if you're American, every time you sung the Star-Spangled Banner, you've actually been declaring your loyalty to the British crown. And as good as the Star-Spangled Banner is, God Save the King is just too iconic. So iconic, in fact, that Germany, Switzerland, and the mighty Liechtenstein all use the same melody as their own national anthems at one point. Though I do have to say, Rule Britannia would make an even better national anthem. Like, I listened to a total of 5 different songs, and Rule Britannia is 3 of them. The moment the UK makes Rule Britannia the official national anthem is the moment I relinquish my American citizenship, move to Brighton, and frame a picture of King Charles III on my wall. They're both great, but I gotta give it to the UK. Weather. Ah yes, the UK, the nation where it's constantly wet, cold, and overcast for half the year, somewhat pleasant for a few months, and then back to wet, cold, and overcast for the rest of the year. The nation where a 98-degree day, 36.6 degree Celsius day is treated like the rapture. Meanwhile, Arizona has an average of 111 days over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, all the Brits might be saying, well, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. Yeah, tell that to any East Texan during July, where there can be as many as 70 days over 100 degrees Fahrenheit with the humidity. Compare that to the UK recording 5 days over 100 degrees throughout their entire history, and there's no contest. Though it's kind of difficult to decide which nation has better weather, since America is literally the size of Europe with almost every different type of climate. If you like hot and dry, go to the Southwest. If you like cool and rainy, go to New England. And because it has pretty much every climate anyone could want, I'll have to give the weather category to the USA. Natural beauty. Another category that's absolutely no contest. The US has the geysers of Yellowstone, the giant sequoias of Yosemite, the Grand Canyon. America has it all. You could probably spend your entire life traveling to every natural wonder in the United States and still not see everything. Now, don't get me wrong, the UK still has some amazing natural beauty, especially in Scotland, but it just can't compare to America. Another point for the US. Cultural influence. Alright, now this one should be obvious, right? America produces so much of the world's media with Hollywood. Pretty much every country not located in Africa has at least one McDonald's. Most of the largest social media platforms in the world also come from the US. This should be the easiest one for the US. Is what I would say, if it weren't for one eensy-beensy little thing. And that's the fact that the literal English language comes from the United Kingdom, the most spoken language in the world, spoken by over 1.5 billion people. A language most used for business and diplomacy. 98% of the world's scientific research is published in English. Honestly, I'd probably be speaking Spanish right now if it weren't for the UK. Geofacts? Nah. Call me Geo Hechos. America may edge out the UK in media and corporate influence, but just ask yourself this. What language is that media recorded in? What language do those corporations use to communicate? Though it's very close, I think the UK wins this one. Healthcare. We all know America's healthcare system is bad, but I don't think you know just how bad it is. America, the country where you need to take out a $1 million loan to have a child. America, the country where someone would rather drive to the hospital while having a heart attack rather than call an ambulance. America, the country where health insurance companies can literally repossess your legs if you don't pay on time. And that's only scratching the surface. At American hospitals, they'll literally charge you for using the pillows. Oh, you slightly pressed your head against the hospital bed pillow? Yeah, that'll be $5,000. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they started charging people for breathing air inside the hospital. The American government spends the largest amount per capita on healthcare, and it still sucks. In the UK though, healthcare is completely free. Of course, it's paid through taxes, but let's not pretend like health insurance in America isn't essentially another form of tax. In places like California, you're literally fined by the government for not having health insurance. Sure, you might have to wait so long that you'll be gone by the time you get to see a doctor in the UK, but at least you won't have to spend the rest of your life paying off medical debt. The UK takes this round. Economy. Seemingly another easy win for the United States. America has the largest GDP in the world at roughly 30 trillion. Most of the world's major companies like Apple, Google, and Amazon, and like a billion more. Speaking of billions, America also has over 800 billionaires. America is probably the best place in the world to be if you're rich, because they really just let you do anything. Jeff Bezos has a 20-foot high fence around his mansion, the tallest residential fence in the entire country. Technically, the legal limit is 6 feet, but he just pays the fine each month. All laws are suggestions if you're rich enough. The UK also has one of the world's largest economies, but it's just way smaller than America's. Now, for the average person, I'd say life is probably a little better in the UK. The groceries are way cheaper, rent is way cheaper, even when adjusting for the fact that Americans generally make more on average and have lower taxes. The overall cost of living in the UK is slightly lower. If you're poor, the UK has a better welfare system, and it's generally easier to get housing. Technically, the UK has a higher rate of homelessness, but that's largely due to homelessness in the US being heavily underreported. If you're rich, it's probably better to live in America. If you're poor, it's probably better to live in the UK. I'll give a point to each. Military. I don't think it's even worth talking about this one. America spends almost $1 trillion on its military. It literally spends more than the next 9 nations combined, the UK being one of those 9. Britain's active troop numbers have shrunk by over a quarter in the last 15 years, from 110,000 to only 73,000. That's not even enough to fill some British football stadiums. On top of aging equipment and dwindling rates of expenditure, it's just no contest. Britannia rules the waves? I don't think the British Navy can even rule the English Channel at this point. Military easily goes to the USA. Since the score is tied 5-5, I think we ought to have one more round to decide our winner. And of course, it has to be which flag is better. I know I made an entire video ranking each country's flag, but honestly, I don't remember where I ranked the US and UK, and I'm not gonna check. Both America's and Britain's flags are some of the greatest in the world, up there with France, Japan, and Wisconsin. Who couldn't recognize the iconic 50 stars and 13 stripes? It's so iconic, in fact, that Malaysia and Liberia decided to do the exact same thing. Malaysia even adds more points to the star on their flag whenever they've added new states. 14 in total, even though Malaysia actually only has 13 states. Thanks, Singapore. The Union Jack is also just as iconic though. Some countries love it so much, in fact, that they still have it as a watermark on their flag, even after decolonization. It's extremely close, so it's gonna have to come down to which country has the better color scheme. What's that? You're telling me that it's exactly the same? Well, you see, that's what someone without a true eye for vexillology would say. Someone without a true eye for vexillology would look at these two flags and think that they have exactly the same color scheme. Red, white, and blue. But you see, that's where you're mistaken. If you look real closely, the UK has a slightly darker shade of blue. And it's not just me saying that. I actually put both flags in grayscale to prove that the UK's shade of blue is a single, uno, value lower than America's. America's blue has a value of 13, while the UK's is 12. On top of that, after removing all the colors, ask yourself, which flag looks better? Personally, I think in grayscale, the UK definitely has the better looking flag. Just look at that value contrast with the light and dark. It's just so much more striking. The UK's flag also has a much more unified and balanced look to it, with the English, Scottish, and Irish crosses. Add back the colors, and I think it's clear which one is better. That's right, the UK wins this round, bringing the final total up to 5 points for the USA and 6 for the UK. Before the FBI, CIA, and IRS, that one's unrelated, come knocking on my door, I am officially announcing that I am relinquishing my American citizenship and moving to England. I will now be exclusively wearing Arsenal jerseys, start calling chips crisps, and of course, I'll be canceling my dental insurance. Now, of course, this is all in good fun. You could probably find a million ways that the USA is better than the UK and vice versa. America and the UK share such a long history together, and it's great that the citizens of both countries can joke about each other and have some fun. Well, anyways, see you guys in another year. I'm just kidding. It'll be 2.